So we uploaded all these different files here, but let's say we had a newer version of those files and we wanted to keep track of that. And that's where versioning is going to help us in S3. So, we saw that I uploaded these characters from Star Trek The Next Generation. And there we actually have newer images here of the characters, not all of them, but some of them. And so when I upload them, I don't want the old ones to vanish. I want it to keep track of them, and that's where versioning is going to come into play. So to turn on versioning, we're going to go to ExamPro 000, and we are going to go to Properties here, and we have a box here to turn on versioning. And I just want you to notice that when you turn on versioning, you cannot turn it off. You can only suspend it, okay? So what that means is that objects are still going to have version history. It's just that you're not going to be able to add additional versions if you turn it off. But we'll go ahead and we're going to enable versioning here. And versioning is now turned on. And you're going to notice now that we have this versions tab here. We go hide and show, and it gives us additional information here for the version ID, okay? So I'm going to go into the Enterprise D, and I'm going to hit show here so I can see the versions, and now you're going to see we got a big mess here. Maybe we'll turn that off here for a second, and we're going to go ahead and upload our new files here, which have the exact same name, okay? So I'm going to click and drag, and we're going to hit upload, and there they go, okay? So we're going to upload those files there. And now let's hit show, and we can see that some of our files where we've done some uploading there have additional versions. So you're going to notice that the first file here actually has no version ID. It's just null, okay? But the latest version does. It's just because these were the initial files. And so the initial files are going to have null there. But from then on, you're going to have these new version IDs, okay? So let's just see if we can see the new version. So we're looking at data before, and what we want to see here is what he looks like now. So I click open, and it's showing us the latest version of data, all right? Now, if we wanted to see the previous version, I think if we drop down here, see where it says latest and prior, so we have some dates there. We click here, we hit open, and now we can see the previous version of data, okay? Now, one other thing I want to check here is if we go up to this file here, and we were to click this link, is this going to be accessible? No, it's not, okay? Now, let's go look at the previous example. Now, we had set this to be public. Is this one still public? It is, okay, great. So what you're seeing here is that when you do upload new files, that you're not going to inherit the original properties like for the public access. So if we want data to be public, we're going to have to set the new one to be public. So we're going to drop down the version here and hit make public. And now if we go open this file here, he should be public. So there you go. That is versioning. Now, if we were to delete this file out of here, let's go ahead and delete data out of here. Okay, so I'm going to hit actions, and I'm going to delete data. So I'm going to hit delete. Notice it says the version ID here. Okay, so I hit delete, and data is still here. So if we go into data and we hit open, okay, now we get the old data, right? So we don't have the previous versions. I'm pretty sure we don't. So we just hit open here, open. Great. And if I go here and go to this one, open. Okay, so the specified version does not exist. So it still shows up in the console, but the file is no longer there, okay? Now, let's say we wanted to delete this original data file, right? Can we do that? Let's go find out. Delete, and we're gonna hit delete. Okay, and it still shows that data is there. We're gonna hit the refresh. We're gonna go in there, and we're going to look at this version and open it. Okay, and so you can still see it's there. So the thing about versioning is that it's a great way to help you protect from the deletion of files. And it also allows you to, keep versions of stuff, and those properties, again, does not carry over to the next one. So now that we've learned about versioning, I think it'd be a bit of fun to learn about encryption, okay? Actually, just before we move on to encryption, I just want to double check something here. So if we were to go to versions here, and I was saying like the initial version here is null, but what would happen if we uploaded a file for the first time because remember, these were uploaded before we turned on versioning, right? And so they were set to null. But what happens when we upload a new file with versioning turned on? Is it going to be null, or is it going to have its own version ID, okay? So that's a kind of a burning question I have in the back of my mind. And so I added another image here. We now have Keiko. And so we're going to upload Keiko, and we're going to see, is it going to be null, or is it going to have an ID? And so look, it actually has a version ID. So the only reason these are null is because they existed prior to versioning, okay? So if you see null, that's the reason why. But if you have versioning turned on, and then from then on, it's always going to have a version ID.